Croccy Delivery task, stage 1 in Costa Atardecer, Chiapas. Hello everybody and welcome to another special episode of SnowRunner here at Overfed Gaming. I am the Overfed. Today we are in the Croccy Delivery task where we pick up 2 pallets of bricks here at the warehouse and we're going to deliver them to the Croc Farm. Now we are in our ZiKZ 605R and we're about the middle of the map, maybe about a quarter of the map down from the top. And we got to travel straight across to the right hand side of the map and then go down south to get to the Croc Farm. Now we're going to travel straight south here from the warehouse first to get down to water level, and then we're going to get across a body of water, get up on a hill, climb over top, cross another body of water to get over to the far side of the map. Now the ZiKZ 605R is a very capable truck. It's got 380 liters of fuel. It's got repair parts on top too. Not quite sure how many, probably about 120 or 140 liters of extra fuel on top too. It does not have any chains, however it doesn't need any here. It's very good in the mud, although I don't like it too much for water that's a little bit too deep, or if the mud underneath the water doesn't have a lot of traction. You have a little bit of trouble, but we'll deal with that when we come to it. Other than that, it can carry 2 pallets of cargo, and there is not a lot that can stop it. So as we're traveling straight south here, we're going to be climbing over top and then descending down towards water level again. So as we're trying to get through this first little mud hole, now this trip is a little ways. It's not right next door. Well, actually, it's not that far away, but to get there, you have to go back and forth and do some climbing and swimming through the water, which makes it a little bit of a difficult trip for the ZiKZ. But I wanted to see how good he would do, because I don't like him really too much for the big 5th wheel trailers. I prefer him more for these kinds of tasks. So I like to use the trucks that I've got for the tasks that I like them for. But everybody does things a little bit different, and you can use whatever truck you want, of course. However, this is my truck of choice. So, okay, we should give it a little bit of fuel to see if we can get up this tiny little hill. But as we're getting up here to the top, we can see we're getting close to that watery business that we were talking about. Now, there's one of our mobile fuel stations, on civilian, with a 1,800 liter tank of fuel on top. But we don't need any right now. We've only used 39 liters of fuel so far, and we don't have that far to go. Like I said, it's just a little tricky in some places. So as we come down here, we got to go into the water and get across to the other side. And there too, when you go through here, there's different ways to go. You can go straight across here and go to the right hand side or the left hand side of that little island with the tree, whichever way you prefer. I try different ways and then I change my mind and I go a different route. But I try to try them all out to see which one is the best. I prefer this way. Now over on this section too, you can go straight here or go to the left of it again, whichever you like. And some give you trouble, and some not so much. Now this here, both areas, this one here and the one on the other side of that little island, are pretty deep. It's like the ZiKZ is turned back into that submarine. But he climbs out of it, so the muddy ground area must be fairly solid underneath there where it's deep. Now, if the ground area is a little muddy, then you have a really hard time trying to get through water, and it takes a little bit longer, like it shows right here. And even here, not too bad. You just got to have a little bit of patience for the now, I might have been better off had I stayed a little bit further to the left before I started heading for these rocks, but that would have been my mistake. But we're going to climb out of it and go to the left of the rocks here. And the left of that pole, and we're going to climb over another little area of hill. Yeah, with every yard covered, we're getting a little bit closer to the right-hand side of the map. There, we're finally out of the water there. And then if you climb up over here, if you kind of know your map a little bit, then you'll know that this is the factory up here where you can get more material. I'm not quite sure what material they had there, but that's the fact. I think it was a steel factory. Anyhow, we're not going up into the factory. We're just going to go up the hill here, and we're going to bypass it all together. We just needed to get to the other side. We're going to go straight back down here again. And down at the bottom of this hill here is where that breakaway bridge is that you can cover going in the other direction. You couldn't do it this way because the bridge is broken straight down. But we're not going that way anyhow. We're going to turn a tight left here, and we got to cross another body of water. As it's starting to rain. Looks like the weather is starting to turn on us. I hope we can get over to the Croc Farm and deliver these 2 pallets of bricks before it gets too dark. Now here we're going to go and do a little bit more swimming again to get across. Sometimes it goes pretty slow and it really tests your patience. Now, the drawbacks, obviously, this is one of the drawbacks, but you know, they get outweighed by all the pros that this truck brings to the game. And this truck is a pretty good vehicle to have in your fleet. As long as you can put up a little bit of having to have your patience here in times like this. But we made it out of there. And now, as we get across this last little bit of water, now we are going to be right to the right-hand side of the map. We won't have to go through deep parts of water like that, but we do still meet up with some water down the road before we get to the Croc Farm. Now we're going to be heading straight south again as soon as we get out of this muddy area. But there again, just take your winch, just adjust your position a little bit and you can get going again. Now you pretty well just follow the track and you really don't have a lot of choice but to go back into the water over here. Because we want to stay a little bit to the side, because once we go through this last little piece of water, then we're going to get to hopefully get to some tracks where we get some dirt that we can drive on. Now she's still going pretty good over here. Now I wasn't quite sure which way I had to go, and I was, well, no, that is the way. I haven't gone through this area too often, only a couple of times. Yeah, no, over here, I was going to go to the right, and that would have been the wrong way. I think you have better traction in the water going around this area on the left-hand side. As you can see, she's moving pretty good here. Yeah, once we get through this area and go to the left. There should be a road up ahead here, I believe. There it is. Oh boy, that was not too bad. We got one more little area of water to go through. That's just before we get to that the village river bank city, I guess you call it. They got a big water tower there. I'm not sure exactly what they call that area, but to get there we got to go through one more little area of water because there's a bridge that's washed out, broken down just up ahead here. Just right here. So we're gonna have to go to the right and go over the water until we get past the area where the bridge is out. Now I've made a few mistakes going along here, and I found out later, of course, after I've gone through here a few times, I really didn't like this route, and I should have gone to the right hand side of these here trees in the middle right at this moment. But I went to the left, and I keep going to the left, and I don't know why I did that. But the right hand side has got a lot more traction, and the water is not quite as deep. Over here, however, it really tests your patience. Now, of course, I wasn't aware of that at this point. I was still thinking that this was the best way to go. And we do get through it eventually. And the best thing to do here too, if you do choose the wrong path, use your winch as much as you can. Now you can put it out manually, of course, or you can do it automatically. I try to do it automatically and keep the truck going, but if you do that, it doesn't always grab the tree that you want it to grab. So you might have to do it manually, and then you might get through a little bit quicker. Now over here, we just the second tree there, I believe we got to turn to the left. Or maybe a little, no, we got to go a little bit further down the road. A little bit further down the stream. The ZiKZ is not quite finished testing our patience. It doesn't look like he's moving very fast. Now that doesn't change my opinion of the truck, because I do believe that the route I planned here was my fault, not the truck's fault. And any truck that you're going to put in deep water with lousy traction on the bottom is not going to do all that well. Now we got to get just a little bit further, and just up ahead past the second bush and tree there, we got to turn to the left real tight, and there should be a track up there for us to climb out of the water. Like I said, I keep pulling it with the winch and then letting it go and keep driving so it doesn't keep steering straight towards the tree. But I think we're going to be all right here. Now once you climb out of here, you're just a little bit north of that little riverbank city, and you can see the water tower sticking up out of the ground. Now the best way to go here is to cut in the back way by where the water tower is. You got nice, dry, solid ground to drive on. And if you keep following the track, you'll be back in the water again. And I didn't want to do that. So we're just going to pull off over here, cut by the water tower, go down the road, and that's where the Croc Farm will be. Awesome video. Really enjoyed that one. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Hope you got some tips or some hints out of it. This was stage 1, so I hope you'll come back and see stage 2 before it's done, before the job is completely done. Anyhow, we've been delivering 2 pallets of bricks in a ZiKZ 605R over here to the Croc Farm with me as your driver, the Overfed.